All right. What's happening? Let me close a couple things out here. Get a few things closed out so we can move a little easier. How's everybody doing today? I hope everyone is doing well. It has been a little bit rainy day, a little cool day, but a great day nonetheless. A great day nonetheless. Here in Atlanta, getting it done. So what's going on, everybody? What's happening? Today we're going to talk about, subject to wholesaling and how you can get started. And, I'll answer questions that you may have. I expect that you do have. And I want you to ask those questions. Now, we've been getting something, kind of interesting. Really, there are people that are asking questions in the live, and I want you to do that. I want you to keep doing that, but I want you to comment, share. Don't just save them for later. It really does help out a lot. Let me see here. I think we're good. Yeah, we're good. So, again, today we are going to talk about subject twos and wholesaling. So, if you have questions, put them in the comments. Like I was saying, don't just, don't just. I'm cool with you, sending me the message, and giving you the answer like that as well. I'm cool with that. But I promise you that when you ask the question, there's other people that are maybe not watching it live right here today. Maybe they're watching it, sometime in the future, and they're going to have some of those exact same questions. So you're getting the answer that you need for you, but it's also going to help someone else in the long term, right? As someone else watches this, they're going to, get the questions answered that they have for themselves as they're learning about real estate investing and wholesaling and subject twos and fix and flips and financing and raising private capital, all that stuff. You gotta share. So be vocal. I encourage you to be vocal and get this information. So one of the things, I got a couple different questions and comments. How do we get started? All of this is great. All of it is fine and dandy, but I'm not all the way up or familiar with some of the terms, some of the words. It's another language. So, where do we get started in a way that makes actual sense for me? And I get that. I get it. Because when I got started, I only started with wholesaling. I only knew that language. And as I developed within the business, I started to learn other things. So we're going to talk about that, and we're going to be specific to that. But I'm also going to share with you another question comes up with when it comes to subject twos is the due on sale clause, and how to get past that. How do you deal with that? So we're going to talk about several different ways that you can get that done, because a lot of the people that you're going to sell these to, they want to build a portfolio, but maybe they're just starting out too. Maybe they're just learning about creative financing and creative financing structures and things like that. So maybe they're not 100% up to speed either, but that's cool. So let's talk about what this looks like. How can you wholesale a subject to deal? So let me give you, I hate to even call it the worst case scenario, but I want to give you a scenario of where there's a deal that you might be looking at. Keyframe is too low. Okay. Action needed. no low fee. Current frame rate is too low. May experience with the home. Yeah, so we're not going to do that right now. So it's a frame rate thing. There's an exposure thing, and I can't sit here and try to figure that out right now. In fact, I just don't even know what it is. so we'll just worry about that later. All right. All right. So starting out in wholesaling subject twos, or wholesaling anything for that matter, means getting out there and finding the deal, creating the opportunity. So how do you do that? Well, you're going to market. You're going to market to people that are financially distressed with their home, maybe physically distressed homes. There's a number of different strategies that you can utilize and implement to to drum up business, to get leads. You need leads. Leads are the lifeblood of any and all businesses. So in getting your leads, you're going to market to, maybe you're going to cold call agents and say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Agent, do you have any deals that you've listed that you're the listing agent for? Do you have any deals that are taking a little too long? Maybe there's no equity in them. Do these deals exist for you, right? So I ask agents all the time. I'm always talking to agents. Do you have any listings that are going a little too long, extended listings? Do you have any that are about to expire? What's going on? Can you tell me? So I want to know these things. I need to know these things because that's the information that I use to create the deals, the information that I use to negotiate with the seller, the negotiations that I'm going to have with the agent, because I'm going to have a negotiation with the agent as well. I'm going to. They're about to lose the deal. I've got to figure out creatively how to save the deal. So we give them something, whereas they would not have normally received anything. It's more of a fee than a commission. Okay. So all the information that they can give me is the information that I'm going to use to share with my team as we're going through the negotiations process, right? So when I'm talking to an agent, I'm asking them about listings that they have that they're close to the end with, or just difficult listings. I'm looking at pre-foreclosures. I mean, there's just a number of different ways. We've kind of talked about that previously as well, and you can check that out. But there's a lot of different places that you're going to get it. And ultimately, you're going to wind up with a lot of referral business. But you just have to stay at it. You have to stay at it. And as long as you're doing that, boom, no problem, you got it, right? But now you've got this opportunity in front of you and you've negotiated it. So I want to go back into the negotiations. I don't want to skip the negotiations because people have asked me specifically about that. Okay, we're doing the marketing, we're doing all of that, so now what? Once I'm sitting in front of someone, now what am I going to say? You're negotiating. So the very first thing is to do is ask questions that give you answers. Now, I know that sounds simple, right? Because you ask the question to get the answer, right? Yes, for sure. But you have to ask the right kinds of questions that are going to give you answers to a lot of questions that you would normally have. You can find out what their pain point is, what they're interested in. You ask them, hey, how long have you lived in this house? Tell me your story. How did you buy the house? What was it for when you initially purchased it? And they'll tell you everything about that house. If they're emotionally attached to that house, you're going to know about it. So you're going to have this conversation with them, and then you get into the negotiations. Okay, why hasn't your house sold? What can you tell me about that? So we ask them about that as well. Why hasn't their home sold? From their perspective, we already know why it hasn't sold, right? We've already done our homework. We know if it's listed and it hasn't sold, it's because of the price. The price is too high. It's always the price. They'll say all kind of different things, but it ultimately comes down to price. Well, the house needs a lot of work. Well, now you have it priced too high. It's too much, right? It's pricing. So depending on what's going on there, now you start to negotiate where you want to be. You've already generally, you before you've gotten there, you've already had a conversation about creative financing structures. These are things that you want to embed in their mind before you go and look at the property, before you start striking deals, because the last thing you want to do is be on a blank mission. You don't want to be out there and, looking at the house and you're going to put in an offer and they're not ready for this conversation at all, because they're thinking like a typical homeowner is thinking when they're selling a property through the MLS. So you have to have already laid the groundwork. Say, listen, we do creative financing here. We're going to give you a cash offer as well. But, we just want to look at the house. Are you open to these kinds of offers? Okay, yes, great. See you on Tuesday at 7, whatever. And then you go and you look at the property and you ask these questions. How long have you lived in the house, even though you already know the answer? What is your reason for selling, even though you already know the answer? The goal is to get them talking about their pain. Why are you selling? What's going on in your life that you need to get out of this property? And how can I help you? Because that's why we're here. We're here to help them. And once you get into it and look, I saved up 3 years to buy this property and I'm going through this and I'm going through that. Now you're there. You're in there and you're getting to the meat and potatoes of what their issue is. Now you can start making the offers. Now you can start having the offer conversation, okay? And I do it very simply. I say, okay, well, listen, we do a lot of creative financing structures, as we talked about before. We call them subject to deals. Here's what that looks like for you, and then we go, now it's kind of an easy thing to do for us. Well, I won't say an easy thing, but an added benefit for us, because the market is the way it is. Interest rates are up here today. Whenever they bought their house, if they bought their house in the last 10 years, the interest rates are down here. So there's a big spread. So that's one of the things. Why would we want to trade affordable debt for expensive debt? Why would we want to do that? We wouldn't want to do that. So we look for opportunities that we can acquire that, affords us that opportunity. And we want to work with people to make that happen. And we start talking to them about the numbers. Okay, what do you owe on the property? And you got to gather all this information. And a lot of it you're going to have, at least you're going to have a really good picture, but you still want the up-to-date statement, things of that nature, because you want to know what's going on with that house. So now it's, okay, here we are. You owe $300,000. The property is worth $320,000. If you don't get a full price offer, you're not going to be able to pay the commissions on this deal, right? I get it. We understand it. So you're going to sell this house and walk away with nothing just because you need to get it sold. Am I understanding you right? And they'll say yes or no, depending on their particular situation. But let's just assume that in this situation that's a yes. They're just trying to make sure they get rid of the debt, save their credit so they can go on to the next phase of their life. So now you're saying, okay, great. I understand your situation a little bit better. And then I'll repeat it. You had a job that you got let go from, you got laid off, or you're moving to another area and you can't afford, rent and a mortgage right now. Whatever the scenario, you're just going to repeat it back to them. Okay? Just to make sure they know that they're being heard and you understand. And you can clear anything up. If you miss something, you'll be able to point that out by repeating it back to them. And now you start to give them the options. Okay, I obviously can't give you a cash offer on this property simply because that you don't have any equity. You don't have any room to move around. I get it. I understand. So what we need to do here is something a little more creative. Because we can't buy it for this price that we're doing here, this, that, and the other, and you're going to walk away with nothing, and then these people aren't going to be able to get paid. So what we can do in this situation is we could take it over and give you some walking money. We'll take over the mortgage. We'll pay for everything. We'll do this. We'll do all the things that we need to do. And, You don't have to worry about falling behind on your payments. You don't have to worry about your credit being damaged. If you're already behind, we're going to be catching that up for you. We're going to do all these great things to help you out. Well, what are you going to do with the property, Mr. Myles? Well, typically what we do is either short-term rentals or corporate rentals or Airbnb. That's typically what we do in a situation like this. And we're very clear, we're very upfront with them. We want them to know exactly what it is we're doing, why we're doing it, and how we're doing it, right? Before we get into that part of the conversation, there's a whole list of things that we go over with them, options that we've created for them. We have a list of 8 of them that we've been using for the past, I don't know. I started working with the pre-foreclosures really, really heavy. Well, subject twos, let's take it back. Gosh, it's been, for me, probably better than 15 years for sure. So this process really works, and it's a process of actually helping people. Some of the options, in fact, most of the options on that list don't do anything for us. They have no financial benefit for us at all, but it has everything to do with actually helping people through a situation. And if they can take advantage of one of those options that are there that don't pay us, that's great. I mean, that's great for them. Now we have the best marketing that you're ever going to have, which is word of mouth. Anyone that they ever know in any kind of a situation associated with real estate, they're going to say, hey, you need to go see Myles, or, or a company is Will Buy. You need to talk to those guys. Those guys know what they're doing. And they're honest. They gave me the information. They didn't charge us anything, and they just did what needed to be done, and we appreciate that. And that's where you go from there, right? That's how you get into the deal. So now you've got someone that's maybe where they weren't going to walk away with anything. Now they're going to walk away with, maybe $2,000 or $3,000, right? They're going to walk away with, they don't have any equity, and there's not a lot of room because we still have to pay an agent, pay for closing costs, get insurance, get title insurance, get depending on what's going on with the property, we got to get some lender insurance. We got to get all these insurances in place. And once you've done that, now it's a matter of it's packaged. You're going to get your contract signed. You're going to have your paperwork all in hand, right? And you don't have to have an enormous amount of paperwork. You don't have to go out and have a trust set up as of yet. When you do the contract, it'd be the name of your company / to be determined, okay, or TBD. That's what we do, right? If we're wholesaling them out, right? Now, you could do everything where you've created the trust, you've done the paperwork, you've got everything ready to go to the attorney, and now you can turn around and go to the marketplace and say, hey, all you investors that are looking for buy and hold opportunities and you're familiar with creative financing strategies, give me a call. I have a property here that I have under contract as a subject to that I would like to sell you. And there is someone that will give you $5,000 or even $10,000 for a property that has virtually no equity in it. In this case, it would have almost none. So if you're going to give the homeowner $3,000, let's say, to move, we already know there's only $20,000 in equity in there today, right? It's going to cost us about, with insurance and everything, about another $5,000 to close it, right? So that's $8,000, and we have to pay the agent. So what is that going to cost? Well, it's not going to be 3%, right? We're not going to come up there because they're not going to get a full commission when we have to come in to a situation like that. And I know a lot of agents don't like to hear that, but it is the reality. It's a listing that you're about to lose. You might as well get some of this money, right? You might as well get some of this money. And we break it down. We will maybe go to a 1% or a 1.5% fee as opposed to a full 3% commission. Now let's go to the high end here and say that we did 1.5% on that. That would be $4,500 to them. They're not going to say no to it because they know they're not going to get the property sold. They're going to lose the listing. So boom. So we had $3,000 plus a roughly $5,000 for the closing. That's $8,000, and now we have another $4,500 that goes to them. That's $12,500. We've eaten up almost all of the equity in that property, with the exception of roughly $7,500. So if I'm wholesaling that deal, I'm asking right now for $10,000 all day. They might negotiate with me and we do 5. I'm fine with that. Me, myself, I'm perfectly content with it. We can do those deals. Now, if I've done all of the paperwork, the trust and, the contracts and this, that, and the other, I'm going to want to kind of stick to that $10,000. They don't have to do anything but take this over, put their name in the to be determined slot, and go from there. And of course, all of our contracts are fully assignable, marketable. We put that into our contracts so that there are, no crazy things that come up later on from an agent or the homeowner coming to say, hey, listen, why are you marketing this property to these other investors over here? You said you were going to buy it. Well, no, our contract says this. And those are the contracts we're using. We need that verbiage in there. We've had agents that are just dead set on using the whatever form from the state they're in. So that's a whole nother process. When we do these deals, we ask them to take the listing down so we can use our contracts. They don't feel like they're breaking the law or any of that stuff because they have to do it if it's this way. So that's why we break it from a commission to a fee, right? That's why the verbiage is that way. So we make it so they are, playing it safe, doing what they need to do in a safe manner for their career. Okay. So we get all that paperwork together and then we sell it off. That's how you wholesale these deals. They are just as easy to sell as a deal that a vacant house or a tired landlord, or your typical fix and flip opportunity. They are just as easy to wholesale, But before we get all that out there, I want to share with you a couple things that I know are vitally important. This was one of the questions that came up. Due on sale clause, had a couple of them messaged me and asked me about that. Due on sale clauses, if you've done this for a while, it's going to happen. You're not getting past it, but there are things that you can do that are going to protect you, right? And so let me just show you a few things really quickly here that you can do, and I'll explain them, right? So the very first one, and these aren't in, well, they are kind of in a particular order, okay? So the very first one that we're going to be dealing with here is going to be number 1, that land contract. So if you do a typical contract, let's say, right? If you do a typical contract, a typical purchase and sale agreement, one of the things that you're going to wind up dealing with that's going to really weigh heavy on you in terms of how you deal with this is getting past that due on sale clause, but it's how you do it. And it's different in every state. Ultimately, it's called an executory contract. Okay, it means in short, but some places are land contracts, other places are agreements for sale, some places are contract for deeds. I can tell you in Texas, contract for deeds are illegal, so it has to be structured a little differently. But it's going to be one of these contracts, and an executory contract is all of these are versions of that. Okay, and all that means is, and you file it. All that means is you have a contract to buy this property, to buy this business, to buy this land, whatever it is. You've got a contract to buy it, but it isn't executed, and it can't be executed until certain things happen in the future, right? But it gives you the authority to do all the things that we're wanting to do. You're still going to file it. You're still going to have a closing. You're still going to do all of those things. You're still doing all of those things. But because you haven't actually technically consummated it, because there are things that need to occur throughout the life of that contract before it can be fully executed, you're operating from a legal standpoint. Now they cannot file or come at you with a due on sale clause in that predicament. You could try, and they might, but once they look at the contract, once their legal looks at this contract, the executory contract, they'll know, okay, these things have to happen until that actual closing, so they haven't really transferred it. It's not gone. Okay, boom. So that's a very important thing. That's something that you have a conversation with your attorney about. I'm not giving you legal advice. I'm just telling you the what we've learned throughout our years. I was listening to another gentleman talk the other day about how often the due on sale clause has happened to him. And he said it happens in like 1 in every 500 houses. I would actually have to agree with that. It's only happened to me twice in the 15, 16 years that I've been doing creative financing. It's only happened to me twice, right? And we got past it. The first time it happened, I didn't know what to do, right? So I went out and got some money for the house, and I had to borrow money from 2 or 3 different places, I think it was, because I wasn't ready. And I didn't know what to ask for. So now I'm telling you what to ask for and what to do up front because of the situation that one could find themselves in. It's important that you do that, right? So make sure that you're getting a land contract, a contract for deed, it's some sort of executory contract, but you'll talk with the attorney about that. That's the best and safest way to go, right? All right. So we don't need this anymore. The next one is how to transfer the insurance. Transferring the insurance is an extremely important thing, and it's a hiccup that most people don't even think about. When this thing happens, listen, you get to the closing, and next to that, there's a company called nreig.com that we use. There's several different companies that you can go for, but it's changing the insurance. You're getting insurance from this company. So what happens here when you're transferring the insurance, what a lot of people do is they transfer the insurance wrong. Meaning there's 3 entities that need, at least 3, that need to be on the insurance for that property, right? Obviously, the lender needs to be on there, on that insurance as the payee, the first mortgage holder payee. Your company or your trust, whatever vehicle you're using, has to be on there as well as an insured party. And you have to keep the name of the person or persons that initially got the loan, because the loan is staying in their name. The property is going into your name, right? The deed is being transferred into your name. So you have to make sure that the owner of the property, the previous owner of the property, the persons whose names are on the loan, or the person or persons whose names are on the loan, has to be named in the insurance. If it's filed in the wrong way and they catch it, because especially if you're doing pre-foreclosures, it's a big deal when you're doing pre-foreclosures because they have to reinstate the loan. So if they go back in to reinstate the loan and in their title search, they see something is different, the name of the insured is different than the name on the deed, and the name on this loan, all that's different. There's a problem. Due on sale. Does it happen that often? Absolutely not. Even with this mistake that people make in terms of how they transfer the insurance, even with that mistake, it doesn't happen all the time, but it happens. Okay, because the banks don't care as long as they're getting their money, generally speaking. But every now and then somebody's going to have a mandate and say, hey, this can't happen. We need to go through this and we need to check it out. So you need to protect yourself before that happens. And understanding how to transfer that insurance is vitally important. Vitally important. You don't do that right, it is an absolute problem. A problem that you don't want to have. All right. So the next one that we're going to get to here is wait to transfer the ownership. Okay? Wait doesn't mean wait to close, but it means wait to actually file the closing docs. You see there I spelled does, but it's supposed to be docs. My bad. So you want to wait until you file those closing docs. You want to wait. Some people will say wait a week. Some people say wait 2 weeks. Some people say just wait a few days. Hey, wait a week and a half to 2 weeks and you're going to be safe, even in slow counties, because the bank is going to reinstate the loan a lot faster than a lot of things play out in certain cities. Certain cities move slower than others, right? In terms of their filing process. So some cities are really, really fast. All of them are digital, but some of these filings don't show up for a few months, right? So that doesn't hurt you. It doesn't hurt you at all, but you just want to be aware of that process. The banks are going to reinstate that loan because they have to really, really fast, really fast. So you want to be second to them, if that makes sense. You want to give them a few days to go ahead and get that loan reinstated and filed so that you can file your documentations or have your attorney file the documentation right after, right? Because you want to be protected in that particular situation. So wholesaling these things is really easy, but if you've already taken care of all of this, you've got the disclosures, the right kind of packages, and I've got all those documents. I'll share them with you. If you reach out and ask for the subject to package, I'll share the folder with you. I'll make it available for you, just so you can put it to work. Because without having some of these things signed or acknowledged, it turns into, or can turn into, a real big problem for you as the investor. People get sued by missing certain things. People get sued by, using sales contracts in certain situations as opposed to, an executory contract, which is going to be needed. It's going to be, it's necessary. It's just necessary that you operate correctly. Because again, if you don't, it's a problem. And that is a problem, a burden only you will carry. And I don't want you to have to do that. Okay? Excuse me. Robert Harvey, how you doing? Welcome, 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 welcome. Again, anyone, if you have questions, you're in here. You have questions, I want you to ask them. I want to make sure that you're getting fed. I want to make sure that you're getting the information that you need so you can go out there. So how do you wholesale on one of these subject to deals? You do it just like you do every other deal. The only difference is your packaging. You have had to already negotiate it. You have had to already have it under contract. And now you can go to another buyer and sell it off. And you're going to wind up selling it to them based on whatever their exit strategy is, right? If we were looking at a deal, oh man, the numbers were not crazy good, but there's a deal. I think the property, the guy owed like I think it was like 180,000 he owed, but the property was only worth about 240, and he owed like 280, and it needed to do a retail sale because the house was in good shape. It only needed about 25,000 if we were going to do a retail sale. Not a real bad situation, right? But once you start adding it up, the guy that wanted to sell it wanted $10,000, so that's 190 plus the 25,000. That's, what is that? 215, and it's worth 240. There's only $25,000 there. If they fixed it up and sold it at a 6% commission, just assuming you're paying that full 6% commission out on your retail sale, 6% of 240 is what? 612, so roughly just under $15,000, 14 and change. So you have no equity left. I mean, you'd be doing all that work for nothing. Now, to rent that property out, it only needed about $5,000 or $6,000 worth of work, to rent it out and get a good rent on the property. And now it was a positive cash flow. The interest rate because the guy bought it, I mean, this is an actual deal that's being worked right now. The guy bought it a few years ago, right? But he doesn't want to live there anymore for whatever reason. He just wants out from what he owes, which is $180,000. So he's only been in a few years. He wants out of his 180, and we're trying to find a way to make him out, to get him out, But going back to the numbers, if this guy that has it under contract, he wants to sell it for $10,000, that's $190. Now he can go in and put let's say it costs $7,000 to go in and paint, change the locks, touch up whatever it is you need to do. Now he's in it at $197 plus the closing costs, of course, which are going to be roughly $5,000. So $202. He's in it at $202. He's got an interest rate at 180. I can't remember what the payment is. Let me take a peek for you. But a 3.5% interest rate on $180,000 is going to be pretty low. But I want to give you an idea of what that looks like, of what it looks like financially for this guy. All right. So let's say, pull up the trusty mortgage calculator here. And let's say the interest rate, I think again, it was like 3.5. $824. $824 is the payment. Now that's before, with a loan like that, I mean, you're pretty good. I mean, in the neighborhood, he's probably paying $600 or $700 a year for insurance. The taxes on something like that are probably a couple $100 a month. So another $250, let's just call it another $300. It's $1,125 a month that it costs you to pay for this mortgage, right? To pay for this deal. But the rent over there is $1,800 minimum. You'll probably wind up with $2,000 in the market we're in right now. So for the person that wants to rent that out and doesn't have a ton of equity, it doesn't even have 20% equity in it. But for the person that has a longer vision, longer goal, or if they want to Airbnb that thing out, most of the people that are doing Airbnbs effectively, are bringing in at least $3,000 or $4,000 a month. At least $3,000 or $4,000 a month. And if you're paying $1,200 out, you're making, before your expenses, you're making some pretty good money. I mean, Airbnb charges cleaning fees. So when I'm having this conversation with people, I'm just giving you exit strategy ideas for who you're going to wholesale these deals to when you go out and find them. If you want to be effective, you got to know who you're talking to. It's too difficult to just throw things out there and not have an idea of who your buyer is. You can't go to all wholesale platforms and sell that particular kind of a deal. So you have to go to where those people gather, right? You got to go to where people that like subject to deals gather. You got to go to places that, and when I say places, it could be a digital place, meetup groups, whatever. But you got to go places where these people gather. Landlords, got to go to where they gather. Okay, people that want rental properties, people that do Airbnbs, people that want to hold, like in this scenario, something for a longer period of time. Your thing is, if you're going to be the buyer on something like that, if you're the buyer, what is your exit strategy? How are you going to earn money on this property? And for how long? Because that's going to matter for you as well. A lot of people get into this and they say, I want to rent it out. Okay, well, yeah, maybe you can get $1,800, $2,000 a month in rent, but are you calculating your turnover? That's important, because if you got a tenant that stays for a year and then they're gone, and you get a string of those, you got a couple months out of the year where you don't, maybe at least 1 month out of the year where you're not getting any rent. That's with no problems whatsoever. You're not bringing in that $1,800 a month. Right? In fact, it's a deficit of $1,200 a month instead of a profit of $600 a month. Now it's a deficit of $1,200 and change. That's what it costs you. So you have to keep that in mind as you're going through this. And if you're in that situation, you've got to be able to turn that thing inside of 30 days. I mean, like, as soon as that tenant is out, you've got someone in there that day or the next day that's starting to clean it. You're already running ads for it. It's already out there, because time is money. Time is money. And you want them people to get in there, change the locks, fix whatever holes, clean the carpet, paint the walls, make it smell good, clean the oven, clean the refrigerator, get whatever it, you got to make sure that you're on the ball. You got to be on it. So going back to where we started, how are you wholesaling these deals? Wholesaling deals, subject to deals, I can't say it enough. It is just like wholesaling any other deal. You just have to have had all of this in place already. Your contract in place, how much do they owe? Are they behind? Who do they owe it to? Have they signed all the disclosures? Is the insurance going to be easily be transferred? And if they do this, they're going to know it's not that difficult to do, right? It's when you do it. You get the new insurance and then you send it into the lender before you cancel the old insurance. There can be no lapse, right? And you do those things. You do them, you make it solid. When you're talking to the lender, because they're going to give you part of the disclosures is them giving you the ability, the authority actually, to speak only on behalf of this particular property to the lender, right? So you're going to be having this conversation with the lender. And when they ask who you are the management company, period. And the management company will be, whether it's a trust or an LLC, whatever you're buying it in. Maybe you're doing wraparound mortgages, which would still be in another company's name. So you want to make sure that is all understood. And when you talk about your company, you tell them they're going to want to know why you're an interested party. Well, you're the management company. You're handling the management and that's not a lie. And it's not about lying. It's about being honest, being forthcoming. You don't have to. There are so many people in this business. I don't understand it, because you do not have to lie your way into a deal, because it always makes the deal more difficult on the other side. You can't start off like that and expect it to work out well, right? If the person doesn't want to do it, if they're not ready to do it, if it's too convoluted for them, you're going to do your best, because I don't want to say unfortunately, but as you learn this, you're going to be teaching people this as well. Some people are going to be familiar with it to a certain degree. Oh, I've heard about that. I don't know, I've never done it, but I've heard about it. What do I need to do? How does it work for me? And then you're going to explain how it works for them. So you have to get really good at the negotiations. You have to know exactly what your process is so that you can share that with them. And these are the reasons why most people need a mentor. You got to be able to get in there. Now, I'm not selling anything, but I'm just telling you, by coming into these kind of forums, by looking on YouTube, you're going to get some stuff, but you got to get in there. You got to get in there and knock it down. You have to be able to negotiate, understanding your position and understanding their position. You've got to do that. But picking up the phone, listen, and I'll put this out there like this. If you're out there and you're out there looking for these kind of deals, and you get in a situation where you don't know what to say or how to overcome whatever objection that's in front of you, man, reach out to me, whether you're working with me or not. We'll partner. If it's a deal, we'll partner with you, buy it from you, help you sell it, whatever the case. It's all different. But my goal is to see you win. My goal, whether you're working with me or not, is to give you information on how you can win in the real estate game, in the business of real estate, because it's different all the time. What it is today in terms of what we're doing to take advantage of the market, right? We're doing a lot of subject twos. It doesn't mean we're not doing wholesale deals anymore. It doesn't mean we're not doing fix and flip deals anymore. It doesn't mean we're not buying apartment buildings. What it does mean is that if we're going to be effective, if we're going to be good at what it is we do, we have to understand the market conditions. Every business goes through different things. Every industry goes through the ebbs and flows of an economy. And the way things are done change all the time. It changes all the time, right? We're in a market, we're playing a market now where we're going to play the downside. Okay? The Bulls and the Bears. We're on the bear side now. We have to know how to make money going down, because that's what's happening. We, the people that are doing creative financing, are going to do business still. And when there's going to be a lot of wholesalers that I can't find deals. What am I supposed to do? Oh, and you're going to be sitting there cashing checks. You know why? Because you're being creative and you know how to do it. You're asking the right questions. You're getting out there and you're taking action. You're following up with situations like this. When I say situations, I mean trainings like this. So you know what to say. And maybe next week I'll do that. Maybe next week we'll talk about negotiating deals, because that's where it all starts and that's where it all ends. Let me write that down. You know, what do you say when you're in a room with someone? What do you say to get in that room? Maybe you have a VA that you have to train. What are you training them on to assist you in getting in front of them, right? Because they're going to be selling you. They're going to be selling your program if you're using a VA. So what you learn for you to do is what you're going to teach your VA to do, if you have them or when you have them. And so knowing what that's going to be it really is important. That's what gets you in the door. And maybe that's what we go, man, we can talk about that all day. We can talk about negotiations and strategies for a week. You know, it's something that you learn as you do, right? In our trainings, we do a lot of role playing. When we're interviewing or training, we're doing constant role play with different situations. You know, people that have different temperaments, whether from the person that cusses you out when you call them, why are you calling me? Where'd you get my number? To the person that says, oh, thank God, where have you been these last 6 months of my life? It's just been ridiculous. Thank you, Lord, for sending this person to me, and everything in between, right? Because you're getting all the highs and all the lows depending on who you're marketing to. You can market in high-end areas, right? We're doing a deal. We're negotiating a deal. We haven't solidified it right now. We're doing a deal that is in a suburban area. It's more rural than suburban, of here in Georgia, and it's a big old house. You know, it's a big old house worth probably 1.4 right now. Homes in the neighborhood have sold between 1.2 and 1.6. Most recently, there were at least two sales that were 1.5 and 1.6 respectively. And so the guy really wanted to do 1.6 on his house. But since those houses sold, the interest rates have gone up twice this year. So arguably, it's going to cost 20% more to be in that house in terms of a payment anyway, with the interest rates having doubled. So from my perspective, the house isn't worth 1.6 anymore. To me, it's worth 1.2. Top end, right? I told him 1.1. He said 1.4. We agreed at 1.2. And now we're just trying to come up with terms, right? So the conversation with him, because he has a ton of equity. So we're negotiating what we're going to do with that equity. He has a loan on the house for just under $450,000. He bought the house several years back for $600,000. He put 25% down. And I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, right? So he hasn't paid down much of that. So it's right just under $450,000. But the house has appreciated enormously. He got a good deal when he bought it, obviously. And there was still just massive appreciation. Had he sold it at the top of the year, he would have gotten $1.6 million. He would have gotten it. He was someone who was really, he doesn't have financial motivation to move or sell. He wants to sell because he wants to go do some other things. He doesn't want to maintain a big old house anymore. He just doesn't want to do it. He's tired of doing it. He thought he was going to love it, and he probably did for the first couple of years, and then he had to keep getting it cleaned and keep changing light bulbs, because when you're in a big old house like that and you don't go in certain parts of the room, things start to break. I don't know why, but it does. Okay? They break because you didn't use them. Go figure. At any rate, the guy wants to go ahead and sell this property, but he knows he's not going to get his money. Not all the money he wants. He knows he's not going to be able to get it. So I can give him a price that he's happy with, and we just do terms. So we'll take over the first loan, the existing mortgage, we'll take it subject to, and then we're going to offer him interest payments on his equity to make it more favorable for him. But we're going to be wanting to make those equity payments at way lower interest than what is being offered on the market today. Why is that? We've had the conversation with him already. We told him, why would we be interested in buying a house of this size at that price with interest rates that are more than twice of what your current debt is? Why would I want to go and get heavy debt, expensive money, when we could work something out. When we could talk about what it looks like for you to get some of those payments, as opposed to me paying whatever other financial institution that we wind up going with, if we did that, which we wouldn't. So we let them know, look, we can work something out with that. So we'd like to be, somewhere around 2.5%, right? And we're waiting now for him to get back to us. So, which, we just had this conversation a few days ago. So it's Sunday right now. If I don't hear from them by Tuesday, I'll be giving them a call by the end of Tuesday. Because if we can get the terms that we agree on, it's a great deal for us. And that's a property that it's by a lake, it's by the mountains, it's in a really nice area, where it's really picturesque up there. They, especially in the wintertime, they do all the decorations. Looks like a movie, like one of those small town movies. But it's great for Airbnb on something like that. The people that want to do that are wanting to be by the water. They're wanting to be close to the mountains so they can enjoy all of those things. So to some extent it would be seasonal, but for them, we'll probably get 8 months, good months out of the year on something like that, which would absolutely pay for itself based on the existing debt on the property and negotiating, a decent down payment, whatever that looks like, as well as monthly payments to him. So he can go and do what he wants to do, downsize and make it happen, and just do what he wants to do. He's got a ton of equity and he wants to protect it. And this is how we can make that happen. This is how we can make it happen. Because again, and there's no agent involved. Okay, there's no agent involved. So he doesn't have to, if he was listing it, he'd be thinking about paying 6% or trying to negotiate that down to maybe 5%, 2 here and 3 there, or 2.5 and 2.5. They do that, right? People do that. So even if he got it down to 5%, and he would not get 1.4 million in the market that we're in, he would be somewhere between 1.1 and 1.2. And he knows that. He was just trying to see if he could get more money. So, but just talking about what the cost of that transfer would be to him going through an agent, if we're just talking about 5% at 1.2, that's $60,000 gone. So now it's 1.2, now it's 1.14. So, and he's not getting any, that's it. So I'm offering him on his massive equity, all of it, all the equity up to 1.2 million in terms of a price. And you also get interest payments from us. Now, you're going to structure these deals differently with everybody, because everybody's situation is going to be different. Of course, the more deals you do, this deal is going to look like that deal is going to look like this deal. But in getting out there and understanding that anything is possible, provided you're working within the confines of the law, when anything is possible, you're going to think about all kind of stuff. I mean, you have to understand, some of these people are, if you're going at pre-foreclosures in particular, you can take over cars. Okay. Do you have any other property anywhere else that you might want to get rid of? We market in Atlanta, we market in Alabama, we market in North Carolina, we market in New York, we market in LA, we market in northern and central Florida, because people, especially people from New York and California, they have bought a lot of real estate in the Southeast. We're not really interested in California real estate right now, but can we find deals out there? Absolutely, especially with what we're talking about, creative financing. Those values are already coming down out there. They're already coming down out there. So as those numbers come down, it's going to be very difficult to buy them. Interest rates are still too high to go. If it was worth $1 million and now it's worth $800,000, still $800,000 loan at 7% it's an expensive loan. We're talking probably $7,000 a month, or $6,500, maybe $6,000 a month. Okay, PITI. That's a lot for most people. Okay, most people ain't trying to pay no $6,000 a month just for a mortgage. Man, get out of here with that. But some people do, but that's not common, right? We know that that's not common. Most of the people that bought those houses are benefiting from the appreciation over these past, let's just call it 10, 11, 12 years. So, but there's opportunity out there. But we're not marketing to just to buy houses in California. We're letting people know, hey, we buy them everywhere because we know they buy them here. We know they have them in North Carolina. We know they bought them in Florida. I was talking to a lady earlier this evening, as a matter of fact, who responded to one of our ads. Like I tell you, I mean, a lot of those, they go to our VAs, but every now and then I get in to the emails and I want to see what's going on. So long story short, this lady reached out. Hey, I know you got this property on such and such address. Would you be willing to take X number of dollars? So I called her and I said, hey, that's too low. We negotiated on that. But at the end of that conversation, I'm a real estate investor, right? So at the end of that conversation, what am I going to ask? I understand you're buying this property. If you're buying property as an investor, you must have others. Do you have any real estate that you're looking to sell right now? She winds up having 2 houses in Orlando that she wants to sell. Now I have something to look at, right? Now I have an opportunity on the table just by asking one question. One question. It's the same when we're raising private capital. If you were on at Sunday school last week, you would have heard me say this. Who do you know that I should know? Hey, listen, I'm doing this deal over here. We've got this property that we're picking up at 123 Main Street. We're looking to raise $25,000. We're going to do this with it. It's for this long. We're paying this much out for it. So we're looking for a partner to come in with us on these terms. Do you know anyone who might be interested in something like that? I'm asking them, but I'm not asking them. I'm asking who they know that might be interested in doing something like that. And then it sparks up another conversation. I'm not going to go backwards in this, but the point I'm trying to make is if you ask the right question, the answer will reveal itself to you in abundance. Simple as that. Simple as that. So you can't be afraid to ask the questions. You can't be afraid to step out there. You got to understand that wholesaling these deals is going to make you a ton of money over the course of the next couple years. A ton of money. And then you're never going to extract this process from your real estate investing business. Whether you're wholesaling, whether you're fixing, flipping, I don't care what you do, whether you go off into multifamily. These creative finance structures are going to do wonders for your business. Absolute wonders. But understanding what you can do at the very beginning is more important than anything I can think of, because a lot of times we have this gate, this self-imposed prison that we're in, and we have to operate under these conditions and these conditions only, and that's simply not the case. It's simply not the case. You have an enormous amount of latitude to make this thing happen for yourself, an enormous amount of latitude. Anything that you and the seller can agree on that makes sense for your strategy, put it on paper. You got your term sheet done. Now it's a matter of giving it to the attorney and letting them do what they do, and you go from there. If you're wholesaling it off, boom. It didn't cost you anything if you use some of these things. Look, I always tell you there's a couple different ways this can happen. It can happen slow or it can happen fast. If you're just starting out and you're trying to figure it out, you want to do it slow, that's fine. You may not have the money to invest in a mentor or a coach. That's fine. But here's some free things that you can do if you're in that situation. I know you know someone who's a realtor. Call them up and ask them for expired listings. If you can't get a service that gets that for you, they can get it for you. And then you pick up the phone and you call those people one at a time, and you explain to them who you are and what it is you're trying to do. That's one free way. Expired listings. Cold calling real estate agents. Right? Now, let me tell you this. Most real estate agents are notorious for not calling back. Oh, they're the worst. It's almost like they don't want the business. But got to kiss a lot of frogs, right? You got to kiss a lot of frogs. You get on the phone and you call agents and you ask them, when you get a hold of them, listen, I specialize in hard to do deals. I'm an investor and I work with other investors, and I specialize in deals that are typically hard to get sold. Do you currently have any listings that you're having a hard time selling? We'd like to do creative financing. If you have any sellers that would be interested in, doing some owner financing, we would love to have a conversation with them to help you get these things off of your books and put some money in your pocket. And always emphasize, because they're working for money too, right? They're not just out here trying to give you deals for nothing. So make it known right away. You're going to make money off of this. I'm not trying to take anything or poach anything from you. I just want to know what difficult deals you're doing. Let me take a look at them and see where we can help you. And you cold call agents. That doesn't cost you anything. You can get right on Google. You can go into whatever city you're in. You can go. You don't even have to go to Google. You can go to whatever real estate Facebook group there is in your city and just start calling them. Start calling them. Paul, who works with us, last week he was having an issue because he's in a smaller community in California, and he was having a difficult time. And I hope this is okay, Paul, because I like to share this. But he was having a difficult time dealing with the agents in his area. They didn't want to give him the information. Small area, small community, but they didn't want to give him the information. So he realized that he had a friend in California, because if you're licensed in the state, you're licensed in the state. Okay, you might live in San Diego, and you can be pulling stuff in Sacramento, okay, because it's all one state. So he reached out to a friend of his and said, "This is what I'm trying to do. Do you mind helping me out with this information?" And of course he said yes, because that's his buddy. And now he's off and running. He's making telephone. And these are free things that you can do. Free. Now, there are other things that you can do that are free, like going to the county tax office, the assessor's office, or the courthouse even, to see who's in foreclosure right now, getting the list from them. And if you don't want to spend any money, you know the address, you know the owner, go knock on the door. Go see if it's vacant. If it's vacant, you're going to have to spend a little bit of money and go do some skip tracing, but if it's vacant. But if you had no money and you got nothing but time, those are 3 things that you can do right now to develop leads for yourself in the subject to space, in the creative financing space. There's no reason for you to be sitting there trying to figure out, how can I do this? When I'm telling you what you can do, grassroots. And then when you make some money, now we can start putting processes and systems and technology in place for you to expedite it. You can get VAs for as little as $4 or $5 an hour. There's going to be a little upfront fee for the setup, the training and all that. These companies charge for that, and that's how they get paid. But that might cost you a couple $1,000, might cost you $1,000, but that's there, right? There's services that are a lot less than that as well, by the way. But you have to focus on the training. That's another conversation. So you got to get out there. I just gave you 3 ways for you to get out there and start doing deals, start finding deals, getting on the phone, talking to people, making things happen for yourself, and then go wholesale those deals, because now you can spend some money on starting your marketing, building your marketing machine. You don't have to go all out like we do. I wouldn't expect you to. You have to grow into your business. You have to grow into it, which requires you to put in the work. I don't care if you got a 9 to 5. You can find 5 hours a week, 5 to 10 hours a week. You can find it. Don't watch the TV show tonight. Watch 1 hour less of TV every day. Whatever it is that you do when you get off of work, don't do it. Don't do it. Just don't do it. Do the thing that's going to help you achieve the goal that you say you want to achieve for yourself. Simple as that. An hour a day, more if you can do it. But put yourself, when you get off work, be the entrepreneur you envision. Be that person. You're already that person. And go out there and do those free things. Those 3 things. Just those 3 things. Most of the county records office, they will sell you this because it's public record. It's public information. They'll sell it to you for a couple bucks. Most, but it's public information. You can just go get a list. From your county or the area that you want to work on. And you can just call up agents, cold call agents, call the agent and get it that way. That's what works. And that's how you wholesale them. But I want to reiterate, if you wind up in a situation, whether you work with me or not, reach out to the group. If you're watching this, you're in the group. And in this group, there are people that can help you. I'm inside that group every day. I'm in there every day answering questions, following up with people every single day. Okay, so if you got something that came up, and you have a deal and you need help negotiating that deal because you don't know how to handle the objection or even what to say right then and there, let's set up a call. Let's get that seller on the phone and let me talk to him. You can be on the call, of course, so you can hear what goes on. I'll record it for you, and you can go over it, and use this as a teaching tool for yourself, because that's how it happens. That's how you get better, right? You see what worked, you see what didn't work, and you try to continue to do what works. You add and you add and you add, right? So this is what I am recommending for you. You want to wholesale these deals, take my advice, go to these 3 places. If you've got a couple dollars and you need to get an understanding of how you can get a VA and how you can get some software and get technologies, reach out. Let's have a conversation and we'll get you going. But right now, y'all, it's time. I don't want to take up any more of your time. It's time for me to go in here and make some dinner, right? But I thank you all for your time. Again, if you have more questions, just hit me up. If you want to work with me or just need some information, hit me up. Let's make it happen. I want to see you succeed. I'm here to serve. I know I say it more often today than I did 5 years ago. But I understand how difficult it is when you're getting ready to start something. More importantly, I understand that in these moments of chaos, and it's going to be more chaotic, specifically talking about economically speaking, this is when people make the money. Right now, you be known before you're needed. If you're out there and you're marketing and you're doing your thing, whether that's knocking on doors, word of mouth, whatever, be known before you needed, because when it gets bad, they're going to remember you, the people that you spoke to, the people that you came across, and they're going to see that you're being consistent because they keep seeing your face. They keep hearing your name. If you do that, and again, you're just starting out, you're just learning, give it just 5 to 10 hours a week. That's it. Just give it that. And watch what happens in your life if this is what you really want. Because if it's what you really want, you won't be lazy and you'll give yourself that 5 to 10 hours a week. You'll find time to go door knocking. You'll find times to do cold calls. You'll find a way if it's important to you. So this is your man, Myles. Thank you so very much. I hope this information was useful, beneficial, that you can really get out here and put it to work, put actionable, rubber to the road. I can't say it enough. If you have questions, reach out to me. If you want to work, let's put it together. See how it can work for you, and I'll get my team in action, and we'll get you going. Thank you so very much for spending this time with me, y'all. Y'all have a great, great day. Enjoy your families on this glorious Sunday. Get ready to get to it tomorrow. I got to get ready right now to get ready. To get ready to get to it. So make it happen. Thank you so much, y'all. Have a great night. Peace.